Well, here we are again. I've got the BSR motorboard out of that wreck of a record player. Amplifier circuit actually looks alright in there, so that might be being reused as well, I think. Seems a shame to bin it. This has an SC12H cartridge in it, BSR. It's a single player. At first it was very, very stiff indeed. And in fact what I ended up doing was gently spraying some service oil down there, putting a piece of copper around that, grabbing it with the big pliers here, while gently easing the turntable back and forth, because what I didn't want to do was for this to start moving, because this is solid with the motorboard, and it's meant to be still when the record's playing, so otherwise you'll end up with all sorts of trouble. The idler in it looks a bit sorry for itself. It's a bit dry. Of course, the usual thing, old grease. This is the cam wheel that operates the arm return mechanism. And these do get waxy grease, because the last time this would have been lubricated was in all probability when it was in BSR's factory, which is of course now long gone. So this was the sort I used to put in those Amstrad tower systems when the crappy one in there failed. You couldn't do it with the later ones because they had a deck in there rather like the crappophones used now, and so this wouldn't fit because the fittings weren't the same. But there's the big old shaded pole motor. And it's a good idea, while you've got it all in pieces like this, to oil the bearings on that as well. Inside each end cap there's a little felt pad, in fact, and a sintered bronze thing. And the felt pad acts as an oil reservoir. The felt pad applies oil to the spinning parts, if you like, and everything's hunky-dory. But of course, again, last time that was done was when that motor was new. Now I'm hoping that this motor will mean that perhaps I can put the ITT back to how it was, because the winding with the two white wires coming out of it is a low tension winding, and if that gives out about 20 volts AC, I'm in business, because I don't need to have that transformer I put in there anymore. I can just run it off the motor, which is what a lot of these record players did. And you can see there the model number. I put it under macro. Yeah, those were the days, weren't they? But believe it or not, the tinny late model one has exactly the same fixing centres and even has these springs on there. So at least that's one thing. You could do away with it and put a half decent one in, or even a decent one. A lot of people used to ask me to get 78 players as well. This deck came sometimes fitted for 78, in a very similar model. And of course then you just have your flip over needle 78 or LPS. Now the stylus on that one actually looks quite good, so I won't do anything as rash as use it until I've looked at it with the magnifier, of course. But yeah, things are coming on slowly. The motor is carried on these 3 metalastic mounts, and unlike Philips products of the time, they don't seem to go to goo. So yeah, that can only be good, can't it? It's a funny thing, only tape players of one kind or another seem to be affected by goo. Record players made by Philips, they don't seem to suffer. Work that one out, I can't. Anyway, so yeah, next time you see this, it'll probably be working happily in its new home in the ITT record player. So see you soon.